You're listening to the New Old Heads podcast, shot live every Tuesday at twitch.tv/newoldheads and released every Thursday at noon via bringingdowntheband.com. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads.
You are now tuned in to the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7th. The brothers are in the building. Starting off with my man Jay Moore. How are you, good sir?
Doing well. You know, as we enter the season finale of America.
Oh, well, at least you warned me. Appreciate it.
You know, hey, I've been warning y'all for a minute. If you listen to the show, I've been warning y'all.
That's consistent. I'll give you that. My man Lonegevity. How are you, buddy?
Doing all right. How you doing?
Yeah, how's it? You all right?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Good. I was worried about you.
Doing okay, you know.
Yeah. My man DJ Jay Diff. What's happening, man?
Salutations. It's crazy out here in these streets, man. Y'all see a couple weird ass things have happened in Indianapolis, Indiana this week.
Talk to me.
Well, one of them was 9 months in the making. A chick decided she wanted to fake a whole pregnancy and then post pictures of her like baby alive, saying that the baby needed a kidney. And she played this off for 9 months and had 2 imaginary baby daddies.
Is this like a money play for her of some kind?
Yeah, what's the end goal for this?
I just think mental illness is real.
Oh, okay.
And people need help.
Okay.
That's one of the things that have happened. And then evidently somebody decided to go tanning at the Planet Fitness and died in the tanning bed on Friday.
Yeah, I saw
And
that.
they found the body on Monday.
Yeah, that's a...
Yeah.
I just had one.
You do know how the weekend works.
Yeah, I just want to double check, make sure I wasn't tripping.
How many days? We have things that are making national news for the wrong reasons.
Yo, that's crazy.
That's usually what happens here.
A couple of weeks ago, Dreamville's Ari Lennox shared how she feels about her label and how Dreamville and also through via Interscope is just not doing right by her. And I feel like this is a good conversation. We kind of let it simmer a little bit, but something that we can talk about.
Dreamville literally is telling me to my face they don't believe in advertisements. They don't believe in Google ads. What am I supposed to do with that information? Google ads, Instagram ads. And I'm happily was just like goodbye social media until I realized, well, God damn it, half of the world is on social media. How else am I supposed to promote myself? And then I look into the lens of my business and I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah. Instagram is damn near what's keeping me relevant. This is hilarious. How the am I supposed to walk away from this shit? How? This is how people find out. Like, this is how people find out. Cause how they promote is let's just do a post on Instagram. Let's do a post on your story. Let's do a post on our Instagram. Oh, and don't let me get started on this mailing list that I was so excited to invite everybody to. And then I find out, oh, well, this is a mailing list where they not only promote my music, but they promote my other, everybody else on Interscope's music. This isn't my personal mailing list. So that was like a nice thing to like find out, like, okay, the business is not in order and it's laughable and it's all funny to me. And I kind of just feel like, why am I doing this? It's not fun.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to what we said on the last show, the conversation we had about Jermaine Dupri and him talking about, you know, the old school way of promotion. And
Yeah, that's not needed, remember?
yeah, exactly. I mean, but you have to understand, like, there are so many priorities if you're at a big record company. I don't even know who's on Interscope anymore. I know that used to be, you know, Dr. Dre and Eminem and 50 Cent, but also when they folded Geffen and MCA into all that, it was also Mary J. Blige.
True.
You know, that was also, you know, the Black Eyed Peas. You know, so I don't know who she's competing with for resources, because, you know, when they have this whole allocation of money to promote their artists, you know, it's like, okay, this person gets this slice of the pie, this person gets this slice of the pie. I don't know what slice of the pie she's getting.
Well, she's on Dreamville specifically.
Well,
I
so
know it's via. I know Interscope is the bigger one, but she's signed to Dreamville, so she's competing with Dreamville artists.
Okay, so say there's like this 25% of the pie with Dreamville artists. Okay, so that 25%, I wouldn't even say 25, 15 that they give to Dreamville, she has to split that with everybody else who's on Dreamville.
J. Cole, Ari Lennox, Jid, Earth Gang, Boss, Kaz, Omen, and Loot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Earth Gang just dropped.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally just dropped.
So I don't know what she has in the pipeline, how close she is, what it is that she
just
has
dropped
that
a single.
that might be good, because if she can pick up some steam in radio, or her streaming numbers are crazy, then that's when they open up budgets. That's when they start. But sometimes it's not for them to believe in you. It's when everybody else believes in you, then they come along with the money.
Well, she had another piece on this that I didn't actually mention, which was she felt that the Dreamville was doing her wrong too, because she's kind of been painted as this like mental health type of artist, and she's kind of wants to move past that. And there was this video, I forget what the name of it was, but she's put out this video and it kind of paints her in that light, and she didn't want to put that out. And they went against her behind her back.
Well, then that's foul.
And put her stuff out in that manner. And then this was the second piece of it.
Yeah, that's foul if they do that.
I'll go and do it myself. But then she's, so yeah, interesting conversation. I don't know. You got any thoughts or?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
She also said that like she wants to be signed to a label. Like she wants those resources, like the resources of the label,
like a big label to do certain
to be able
things.
to do certain things. Because she's just like, there's just so much that has to happen. There's so much money. Like she kind of heard it a little bit here, but she's like, you have to spend money. She's like, you have to spend money on marketing. Like that's the only way, stuff gets in front of people.
And then she said, if I'm not mistaken, she said the only way, well, not the only way, but she kind of alluded to her, popularity or whatever is stemming from her being a part of Instagram or something along the lines of that.
Well, she said that that's where all her fan base is.
Where all her fan base is,
she's like, I wanted to leave, but I can't because that's where all the people are.
That's where all the people are,
what can I do? She's like, it's stupid. And I understand what she's saying.
I mean, but in we've talked about this before in terms of if a record label or a bigger label is necessary, usually we hear the opposite. Oh, I can just survive online. I can go viral. I can do this. I can do that. This is one of those times when you hear an artist going the opposite direction, saying, I want the bigger budget. I want the push. So that's kind of interesting to me.
It's kind of hard, though. I can sense her frustration, being that another comparable artist named SZA is on TDE,
which is
Interscope.
Yep.
SZA's been nominated for a lot of awards, but TDE is 100% behind her.
True.
Like TDE does not move without SZA.
True.
And like they don't leave her off anything. They make sure she's part of everything. You know what I'm saying? And she's seeing success from that. Whereas Ari Lennox is an equally as good performer to me, artist, but you don't hear about Ari Lennox like that. And it may just be because, Dreamville is ran by J. Cole, right?
Right.
J. Cole is not really an exec. And that kind of goes back to the argument that artists are becoming execs in order to get a bigger piece of the pie, but they're actually not execs. You know what I'm saying? They're thrust upon that position because it makes sense monetarily, but they can't move the pieces like they need to be. Somewhat like how Eminem is with Shady and West Side Gun end up having to get off Shady Records because he wasn't getting the push that he wanted, because you're dealing with an artist as your exec. Whereas TDE has Top Dog and Punch,
yep,
that are making the wheels move. They're not trying to be artists. Now, Punch has rapped here and there, but that's not his main focus. His main focus is to make sure all the wheels are turning on the label.
Yeah.
So I understand her frustration because she's in a position where she's like, somebody that's just like me is reaping the benefits of her label, and I'm not doing the same. It might be a situation where she might have to throw a couple dollars herself.
Well, she said she said she wanted to.
Oh, really?
But she said she literally, I don't know if it was this clip or right before or after, she was like, I am like right before my singles dropping, looking up how Google ads work and stuff like that. She's like, why am I having to do this myself? Like I would like to, I'll do it, but like, why am I having to do that? And to your, like, she's on Dreamville. Like, there's probably a bazillion people that would want to take her place
100%,
as that person,
100%,
but
100%.
It's another thing to kind of, be there. I think what one thing that this kind of highlighted to me was just the importance of like really establishing yourself outside of the entities that are above you. It's like, if she had her own mailing list, there's nothing to stop her from creating her own mailing list.
Right.
She can do that. You know, she can have, maybe she needs more of somebody on her team, like a manager or something. Like, it sounds like she doesn't have management or something. Like, if she's looking up herself how to do Google ads and stuff, like, who is on your team? Like, do you not have a team? Is the team just the label? You should have some representation for yourself. This isn't like, and granted, at the end of this, she's like, I just went off. Like, just let me go. Like, I don't want to be a part of this, which I think, you know, but she said she still thinks that the label's beneficial. But I don't really teeter in the sense that where I think she can build this herself. Like, she's got enough name recognition at this point in her career to where, like, sure, it may not be as immediate of an impact as like being signed to Dreamville and popping out on the Dreamville stuff. But like, you've got enough people that follow you to where you can create your own thing. And you can put your stuff out and you can start maybe kind of soft and continually build yourself back up. Like, she's big enough of an artist to be able to do that and to get bookings. And if she can get her management to get involved to do the things they're supposed to be doing, she'll be just fine.
I agree with that.
So,
I mean, because when you have a team behind you, you know, whether you have a new song or not, there's people who are working on your behalf who are making sure you're able to get money. Think about all the quote unquote legacy artists that are out here who don't have any new music. But there are people who are working on their behalf to make sure they're getting in front of people, not only just to stay visible, but to have shows.
Yeah.
You know, and I understand that, you know, she's not a new artist, but relatively new when I talk about legacy artists.
Yeah.
And people who do not have to create new art to engage with the public. But, you know, why is she looking these things up? That's a good question. It's like, can't you farm this out to your team? You know, why aren't they coming back with those answers? Why are you essentially bringing that information to us that you have to look up how to use Google Ads to promote your music?
This sounds like someone that would not be on or associated with. These are problems of people that are not associated with a Dreamville. We hear people talk about stuff like this that, you know, or local artists or something like that. I had to look up this and learn how to do this and that. Someone of her stature, you would think she would be surrounded by the proper people where she wouldn't have to do that. So I don't know, man. That's a tough spot because she is known, but something's not right if she's doing, Googling on her own to try to figure out certain stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing
Something's
with
missing.
labels, man. Like Nori even brought up at one point, him being on the label was a lot less work than when he went independent.
Yeah.
Like, I got to do so much more work. When I did it, I was like, I would rather be on the label.
Yeah.
Because, they sell the being by yourself as something good, but I mean, you got to wear a lot of hats, or you got to have everybody in order. You got to have, your situation where you got people doing the right jobs to where you can just focus on the music. But I mean, it's not the first time that a record label has screwed an artist, but this may be her story against them, and they might come out and say, well, this is the reason why this didn't happen because X, Y, and Z. So, I mean, hopefully it's something that they can resolve.
We talked about this. We talked about it last week about artists wanting to kind of peep in and learn certain things. We talked about that. And, this is one of those situations where it's just, I don't know, man. I feel for her because you can definitely sense the frustration with the clip that Lone played, but I mean, what do? She sounds like she wants to just cut bait, but
I think that's what she does.
She wants to just cut bait. And then if she can build based off what she's built, take the entrepreneurial role and maybe the independent role and kind of.
She don't want to do that.
I mean, she's going to have to do if there's not a big label that's going to scoop her up, because I don't know what that looks like now in 24 going into 25, but if she doesn't get scooped up, she's going to have to do something to maintain herself if she leaves, is what I'm saying.
The thing about it is too, and this say she does go off by herself, and I don't see anything wrong with people being independent. I think that's honestly one of the best ways to go.
Facts.
But somebody of her stature, so now she's got to find people to orchestrate her music. She's got to find time to get in the studio, whereas a label is setting all of that up for her. They're like, well, you show up here, such and such is going to be there to work with you. Now the ball's in her court. She has to make all of those moves. So that may be something that she doesn't want to do. That's why she's saying she likes the structure of a label, but they're just not giving her everything that she thinks that she's supposed to get.
Yeah. And my advice and thoughts to her would be, you can accomplish the same thing with a good manager.
There we go.
Like they can take care of all that stuff. You know,
There we go.
You pay the manager a decent amount. That person can go and take care of all that stuff for you, so you don't have to. But I would also suggest at the same time, like, get in there and learn all this stuff as well, so that you can also audit the management. So you can audit all the things that are moving, because it becomes your business at that. You have to be a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to understand how everything moves if you don't. So,
I mean, it's one thing to have a good manager that you trust to, you know, kind of steer your career. There's another thing to have that person that you trust to steer your career, but also know what's going on with them, the inner workings of it. Those are two different things. So now I feel you on that, Lone, 100%.
yeah. I don't know if I have anything else on that one, but yeah.
I mean, good luck to her, though. Yeah, good luck
Good
to
luck.
her.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially trying to roll something out right now.
So rapper Logic admitted that real hip hop doesn't sell well. In this recent video that we're going to watch, Logic was being interviewed by someone like, it looks like it's like outside of the Detroit airport or something.
Yeah.
And he shares to this guy who TMZ bought the video, obviously, and slapped their logo on it. But pretty much how, like, he spent a lot of time working on, you know, like this real hip hop record, but it just doesn't push the needle and doesn't sell. So
You got a new record that just dropped.
Yeah, Ultra 85. I put it out, and it was fun, and fans have been waiting for it for a really long time.
Yeah.
And I put my heart and soul into it. But what I've noticed is, like, I've been on a run of doing, like, super hip-hop music.
Yeah.
And that doesn't pay the bills.
Really?
But
Really?
it's because I made all my money before doing pop and turn-up.
Right.
And then I've been blessed enough to be in a position to be able to make music from my heart. But next year I'm gonna come up. I'm about to drop all this like Playboy Cardi trap turn up. Get a bag and have fun.
not super surprising to hear somebody say that real hip hop doesn't sell, but guys have
His
thoughts
real
on that?
hip hop doesn't sell. I mean,
Is it just his?
well, I mean, I'm not saying just. Look, man, I don't even. I mean, it's because I'm not a fan of Logic like that. I don't know when he says, "Oh, my pop turn up." Yeah, I know that some of the pop records he tried to get off and turn up. I'm not sure if I'd put him in the quality turn up, but also. Like I said, if Playboy Cardi could be sitting right there with a shirt that says "I'm Playboy Cardi," and I'd have to take his word for it. You know, I
agree with you
as
there.
somebody who is front and center for the, you know, and seeing how the culture moves in real time. It's not like anybody else was like, "Man, y'all gonna play that Playboy Cardi?" No, what? It's not. Maybe
Not
he just
here.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, maybe he just picked the wrong person to kind of reference. At least for
Playboy Cardi is massive, Jay.
He got,
I know, I'm
he
not
got,
saying
he
he's
got
not.
away.
I know.
He got away for sure. He got away for
you
sure.
know, I'm like, when I see the people who are move the needle everywhere, you know, compared to just who he meant. And once again, there are people I know who really like Logic. They're diehard Logic fans.
Logic's fan base is crazy.
Yeah, and so
It's
when
crazy.
I don't know if he's
The Rat Pack.
I don't know if this is a real facetious like statement he's making here right now, because I feel like whatever Logic puts out, there are his fans who are going to gravitate towards it.
I believe him when he says, it's weird to hear him say, you know, I'm just paraphrasing based off what I heard, but it's interesting to hear him say, man, I put my heart and soul into it. And, you know, luckily I made enough money to be able to get to the space where I could put my heart and soul into it.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of backwards. It's like I had to go do this first so I could be who I actually maybe want to be, or who I am. That's the part that was kind of cringy to me, because I get it. I'm not stupid.
What is cringy about that?
Cringy is that who you really are? Like, is that who you are at your core? Is what it sounds like.
How is that, though, any different than somebody who works a job so that they can put their music out? You know what I mean? How is that any different?
I see where you're going. That's fair. But the records that I guess he alluded to prior to, he's like, I made enough money to be able to do this.
Right.
So are those records that you put out, was that the purpose? Was that the intent, just to get to the point where I can do what I am? Or is it just
that's what he's saying? I think, and he alluded to actually retiring maybe 3 or 4 years ago. He dropped
That's a
an
good
album that was
point.
supposed
That's
to
a
be
good
his
point.
last album.
That's a good
I know
point.
he got big on streaming and stuff for a while. He kind of wanted to focus on family life.
Yep.
That's understandable. He came up during the blog era though, so he was
did.
dropping mixtapes, and you know he garnered a fan base off of that. I wouldn't necessarily say his music is real poppy. It has pop elements as far as sound wise, but like even his raps to me.
It just depends who he's imitating.
Yeah,
Don't do that, Long. Don't do that.
That's true too.
Why
I mean,
not?
because it's the truth. But I don't really see him as this pop rap artist.
I don't either, though.
He had one song that did huge numbers. I think it was a Suicide one.
Yeah.
And that's
that was big.
That's literally the only song that put him on like MTV music awards and things like that. I don't see him being an artist like a Drake. If he's alluding to he's a pop artist like Drake, I don't see that. No. Even his music to me, and I've listened to it. I'm not a big Logic fan, but he can rap.
No, he's nice to me.
He imitates a lot of people, but him being true to himself, like you saying, I don't think that it has anything to do with the actual music. Because like I'll even use Mac Miller as an example. His early stuff was a lot different to me than what he gradually came into music wise.
For sure.
So I can't be mad at him because he's not doing the same thing before and he decided to get more musical later.
What if I Tyler's the same way?
What if I told you Mac Miller and Tyler seemed more authentic in their transition?
That's just your opinion, though. You don't know.
Could be.
You don't know.
I don't know.
None of these kids.
I don't.
You know what I'm saying? You just like their music more, so you're gonna side with them on that.
Perhaps
but they might be the exact same as this dude.
That's fair.
But I don't know, man. I just don't see. Maybe his fan base got stagnant, and he's not making stuff that his fan base really rocks with, so they're not spending with him or coming out to see him. I don't know.
I think the bigger thing that he's talking about here, I don't think it's as literal as we're taking it. I think it's more so along the lines of like he can probably put out something that is a little bit more cliche, that we all know is a little bit more cliche.
Yeah.
And it just does way better than his stuff that he spends a lot of time on.
Yeah.
I think that's all that he's really saying here. And to me, that's not surprising for any artist, because I think that's kind of what it is across the board, really. So I think that's the bigger talking point. And Jay said, well, the one thing that stood out to me about all this was Jay said, well, for who? You know, like,
yeah.
I don't know any other artist who dibbles in pop, who the pop stuff doesn't sell way more than the hip hop stuff. You know what I mean? So, or being Logic or not, like,
even if you're just talking about trying to find a commercial hip hop sound, like there are artists who that is what they're supposed to be doing, and it's hard for them to figure it out. You just think you can just turn that switch and be like, okay, I'm going to make a song that does 100 million streams on YouTube, and then it's going to be the number one thing. Like, do you say how hard it is for, I mean, and I'm just speaking on this, you know, shout out to their fan bases, but like how hard it's been for Cardi B to try to catch another one.
Good point.
You know, Megan Thee Stallion's records, like luckily she's come along and done some collaborations that have worked out well. But, you know, other than that, like, you know, it's easy to think, oh, I can just jump back in because of my fan base and who I am and what I rap about, and I'm gonna jump on this trap beat and all of a sudden I'm gonna have another number one song, and it's not like that. Like, and like I said, I think there's a certain level of humor that Logic is approaching this with. I don't think that he's,
so too.
You know, so because just to think, okay, well, I'm just going to turn on the button. I'm going to go grab Moneybagg Yo and Bossman D-Lo and put them on a couple songs, and then all of a sudden I'm going, you know, I might have Song of the Summer next year. It just doesn't work like that, because I've seen the rollouts they've had for some of these songs from artists who are supposed to be quote unquote pop, you know, mainstream rap artists, and it doesn't matter how much money you put behind it. You know, if it doesn't connect to the people, it just doesn't. You just can't flip the switch like that.
Yeah, but I also think he has a pretty big fan base.
Fan base is huge. So like, his fan base is huge.
I don't know. So, I don't know.
Whatever this quote unquote pivot is that he's describing,
I think he's just kind of joking.
Yeah.
Even if he is joking, we'll say, like, if he's just kind of trolling about it, I still think it's going to land because of the size of his fan base. It's not going to be a hard move.
I don't think that's the conversation here. But I think that part at the end was just literally him just joking.
Trolling.
It's just him joking. He's just like joking. Yeah, I'm just going to go do this nonsense over here
because y'all like it.
I think he's for real. I think he's for real. But at the same time, it's like I don't think it's as serious as like something that we need to psychoanalyze, I guess is what I'm saying.
Nah, he's pretty much saying that whatever he's doing now isn't paying the bills.
Yeah.
That's about as real as you can get.
He's not hurting for money though, because he set
There's no
himself
way.
up pretty good. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do, man. I don't have to listen to it. I might give it a listen though. I'm not biased like that. I'll listen to it just to hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I wish that when I listened to like Playboy Cardi, like I wish that I could understand why it was appealing.
Yeah, he's in them rooms.
It's weird, man. I don't know, like it's weird.
He's in them rooms.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
he in them rooms.
I mean, like, you know,
That's real.
I tell people, like, there's certain artists I listen to just so I can properly hate.
Mhm.
I don't want to just get on here and start saying, "Oh, this is trash," because I feel like it's trash. I was like, no. I mean, just look. A lot of people do that with Jay-Z.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
There are
100%.
people
Yeah,
that's
100%.
that. A lot of people will listen to who hate Jay-Z
Yeah.
because they're not indifferent to him.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you really didn't like Jay-Z, you'd be indifferent to what he does. But
Yes.
your hate is so strong, you have to go through and pick apart his entire catalog.
Yeah, and I don't even hate Logic. The problem is, like I said, he can really rap, but he just mimics people. Like one of his best albums sounds like a Good Kid, Mad City ripoff.
Right.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. It's like give or take, but I mean, good luck to you, man.
Yeah.
Turn up with Logic.
I have a random take. I think Rhapsody does the same thing.
Oh, God.
I think she does.
Raps
Are
like
you
everybody
smiling?
else.
I think Rhapsody's been trying to mimic Kendrick for a long time.
Well, she stated, she actually came out and admitted that when Wayne sent her the verse for her last album,
Yep.
she went in there and redid it. And the way she redid it, it kind of sounds a little Wayne-ish, a little bit.
Yeah, I've always felt that with Rhapsody, and I think that's the thing, because I've always been like, it's not like she's not talented,
No, she's
You know,
extremely talented.
but every time I listen to her, it's just like it just feels like she's like I still can't authentically get her from it, and I know that's a super. And I think I'm approaching this less from a content angle and more so from like how she delivers, how she structures everything, how she puts everything together. It just seems very formulaic to whatever that cool niche hip hop thing that is going right now. I don't know. That's just what I see. I
can dig it.
Yeah, you know, and you know, I'm not trying to hate.
Thanks to our partners. Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member. All details on newoldheads.com.
So Erick Sermon recently sat down with Willie D in Houston before a concert show that they were doing together. And this clip is Erick talking about how music is falling off and the ramifications of the moment music being created. So let's listen to this and
The
discuss.
80s and then the late 80s, the 90s, 2000s. See, we was doing the right culture, doing hip hop, rhyming, beats, samples. All of a sudden, like you said before, what happened? Just changed. Not that you mad. The change was good, but then it got really bad until we end up here now. They call it the mad rapper because we older. It's not hatred. I'm in Houston right now with Willie D. This is 36 years. You're not gonna be able to do that because you didn't make records to do that. So if you don't have any money, young people, how are you gonna eat? The records that you are making is not gonna be able to transcend for 10, 15, 20, 30 years so you can possibly work and get a gig. At that age of 40 years old, when they got married and they got children and they in school or they got a 9 to 5 or they in church and they're gonna match. You didn't make any music to transcend for you to have a career. Wouldn't you be scared of that?
Yeah.
Would you be scared of that?
The boogeyman is coming.
Yeah.
Eric Onassis.
Yeah, this is things that we've alluded to a lot of times. I hate to sound like the old head in that sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's making valid points as far as making music that's going to stand the test of time. We've had many of discussions about moment music and people making music that's only going to hit for this summer, and people might play it for a hot second just to get that little piece of nostalgia back. But what does that mean when people grow up? Now, granted, there are anomalies in here because I can put on some Too Short right now, and Too Short is talking about Freaky Tales, and everybody in the club has kids or kids on the way. Some might even have grandkids, and everybody's loving what Too Short is talking about. But that's Too Short. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's not about to be about we popping Zans and whatever pill or popular street drug is going on right now, and talking about I'm on demon time and this, that, and the other to this chick, and then you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of ignorance in the music, and it's not elevating. It's not graduating to the next level. That's why I appreciate artists that do make those different transitions album to album. Sounds like they're growing because they want to focus on the musicality of their career. They want to be able to keep on doing this. So yeah, I totally feel what he's saying.
Okay.
In a way, I don't. Just because the music that at one point seemed silly and trivial, like you said, you alluded to Too Short. You know, now I can go to a black tie event and the DJ will play, you know, Back That Ass Up, which might have seemed just silly and trivial to somebody who was 40 or 50, 45, 50 years old at that time. And that music has stood the test of time. We don't know exactly what's going to stand up and what's, you know, we'll hear something like that is like, that's stupid, but it's not, it's going to, and it's for 18-year-olds. And you just never know when they get to be 38, 50, it might still be something that stands the test of time, because it's, now there are things from that era, that same era where Juvenile was out, to where like if you played them for a room full of people who are now in their 50s, it doesn't stand up. You know, we just never know. I think, and this might be kind of a controversial thing, it's especially when he's talking about people making performances and trying to live off of it. It's going to be a little harder for some of these female artists, because I mean, you talking about all this wild stuff, and I can do this to you and this, that, and the third, and then you're going to be a 48-year-old woman trying to say that same thing on stage, and it's going to be like, get away from here. You know, it's like, you know, real raunchy sex rhymes don't transcend the time for women. And once again, this is something I've talked about before. Unfortunately, we don't let women grow up in hip hop. How we met you is how we want you to be going forward, even if it doesn't work for you anymore. If you try to grow up, you either have to transition into like acting or some other, you know, maybe you do a jazz album like Queen Latifah. You know, you can't be the rough and rugged girl or the girl who's oversexed and wild, you know, after, you know, 25 years in the game. And it's unfortunate we let men be sometimes we let men be silly into their 40s and 50s, but we don't let women do that. So all these artists right now, I hope they find a way to figure it out, like the Glorrillas, the Megan Thee Stallions, the Sexy Reds, because in 20 years, it's going to, like, we already to a certain extent judge them for their appearance and their subject matter. And then it's like, okay, we can dismiss it. Some people can dismiss it because we're like, they're young. But when you're still trying to pull this same thing off in your mid 40s, it's unfortunate. We see this sad. I remember Lil' Kim put out a record and she's still talking about the wild things she can do sexually and it's like, nobody's trying to hear that from no 40-year-old, you know, mother. And it's unfortunate.
Somebody is.
Do you even remember the album I'm talking about?
Nah, I'm just talking.
There you go. So
I'm going to go on record to say that I probably only listened to one Lil' Kim album, though, my whole life.
I mean,
I've probably listened
one album.
to two.
I listened to her first one and then the third one, La Bella Mafia. That was dope.
I've not listened to.
You know, the Notorious K.I.M., she could have kept it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think that, you know, we never know exactly what's going to transcend, you know, I'll take it away from rap. I'll take it away from women. And, you know, there's probably somebody who heard Candy Girl and thought there was a novelty record, and that's it. And now that group is in Vegas doing a residency.
I wouldn't put Candy Girl.
Listen to Candy Girl. If you listen to Candy Girl and you are 35, you're like, all right, whatever.
I wouldn't put Candy Girl.
I
in that.
probably wouldn't either.
I wouldn't use that as an example.
It's a little.
Did you think they were going to be around for? Did you think someone who loved the Temptations heard Candy Girl and thought that was going to last for another 40 years?
I don't think it bothered them though. Like I think what he's talking about in a sense is people that make this music that is just not going to do it for you as a grown person. You know
That's
what I'm saying?
the part.
The content that I'm talking about, I don't know, man. I can't really describe the words that I'm looking for.
I think
but
he's
it's like,
speaking on. I think he's speaking on kind of the moment music. The stuff that's being created by people that aren't necessarily musicians, people or people that really have any grand desire to be rappers. You know, it's just like it's a means to an end to a degree.
Yeah.
And they found a little bit of success. That's what I think he's alluding to. I could be wrong.
But he's saying, I think he may be alluding to that, but he's also talking about people that are looking to have a career. And to their defense, a lot of them don't care about having a career.
That's different.
They just want to get in, get their bag, and transition it to something else. But like as far as like a lot of the content wise, I can't see myself riding around listening to any of this with kids. You know what I'm saying? Like even Back That Ass Up, you can play that at a wedding, and it is mild to today's standards. You know what I'm saying? Like if I play Back That Ass Up versus WAP.
I've heard WAP at a wedding though.
You might have, but the kids probably was gone. I can comfortably play Back That Ass Up.
There's a Back That Thing Up.
Yeah, because I was about to say they can just play the Back That Thing Up. Even Blow the Whistle. I can play the edited out version. I'm not gonna play Freaky Tales with a bunch of kids in there. But I mean, there's certain music that just does not sit right with your spirit, essentially, that you would even want to be doing it when you're grown.
Terry made a good point. Terry made a good point. He said, you have an anomaly. There's a couple that might, quote unquote, slip through the cracks, if you will. We're in an era right now where there's a great sample size of We Gon' See. Like we're in an era right now where there's a lot of We Gon' See. 10, 20 years from now, We Gon' See. To what Erick Sermon is talking about. And somebody in the comments put, and I didn't even think about this, but this was the perfect person to mention. And I was going through the comments on the Willie D post for YouTube. And they said, what's my girl's name? My Neck, My Back.
Kaya.
They was like, yeah, but she out here still performing. I'm like, nah, fam.
She can perform that song.
Thank you. Like that's the point. That's what he's talking about.
That song would even, when I heard, I was like, ain't nobody gonna care about this song in 20 years.
But bro, there were people that thought when that mug came out, there's always a section of people.
I can't say that, Mike.
Here's my thing. Here's why I'm saying that because that song was not small. That was a big record, bigger than I thought it was going to be.
I'm saying I don't see just because it was big at the time. I don't see people thinking that this is about to be that one for life. I don't think anybody thought that, bro.
Well, who are the people that are showing up when she's still performing? Who are those people?
I mean, Dim Franchise Boy played Treese this year.
They did.
I mean,
they played it,
and I kind of laughed when I saw it initially, but it seemed to do decent.
Because
it did decent, didn't it?
You know why? So. Because music marks time for different people.
Yeah,
okay?
That's true.
So I could be completely wrong. It might be Glorilla might be 45, 50 years old, still be out here to do TGIF.
45-year-old women still want to get down.
Yeah, man.
You know.
He's right though. He's right. He's right.
Like
they got OF pages.
Yeah,
they got OF pages too,
for sure.
Yeah, that's a smart man.
I wouldn't know. No.
Yeah, I started growing folk. I started growing folk.
The thing is, like, I'm getting ready to do the music for my friend's day after Thanksgiving party. Okay, at this point, we all pushing 50. These are doctors, lawyers, architects, and engineers.
Curating out here now in these streets.
They like to do those things too.
And the thing is, like, of course, we do the music from our era.
Yeah.
When we was maybe in high school and going into college, then we do like our club era.
Yeah.
And then like there is just a ratcheting that I throw in there as well. Mm-hmm. And so
Playboy Cardi.
Don't do that, Long. Don't do that.
But like,
stop.
But I'll ask, I'll say, hey, is there a particular song you want? And it's always something like, this is somebody who is a partner at her law firm. And, there are just certain ratchet. Look, it doesn't mean she don't want to hear Bitches Ain't Shit off the Chronic. Exactly. Because that's a classic for our era.
It is.
And so when we see these songs that we think are ridiculous, we can't mark younger people's time and how they're going to feel about things when they get to their era. They might pay to see Big Boogie do it. I think those songs suck. but it doesn't matter because they're not for me. They're for people who are between probably 18 and 29 at best. And so when his songs come on in 20 years, he'll probably still be able to get out there just like Tone Loc and Young MC and all these people and Hammer. All these people can still get booked. There were people at the time who did not care for their music.
But did you hear the examples that he used and the words that he said? Hammer don't apply to that. Tone Loc don't apply to that.
He didn't say artist. He wasn't artist specific at all.
No, he didn't say artist, but I'm talking about when he talked about ass and all the rest of the stuff. That's not Hammer and them. That's not Tone Loc.
Did he talk about ass though?
He said that. Like he alluded to they're not going to be talking.
I saw the whole
Lone cut it out, but he said they're not going to be talking about this. They're not going to be talking about that.
You think they won't?
What I'm saying is what he says based off 20, 30 years from now, if you project it out, who's going to want to pull up? That's all he's saying. Because to his point, call it what you want. EPMD can go out right now and go somewhere, and that mug is going to mug.
And so can Dead Franchise Boys.
And so can Ice Cube. Ice Cube has been
about
married.
to drop a new album.
Ice Cube has been married to the same woman for 30 plus years at this point. He is a straight family man. You know what? He can still get out there and spit that gangster.
You can make an argument that the stuff that Ice Cube was talking about back then is relevant right now.
Yeah, because he got on this political era too, though.
Thank you. You can
he was still on this bullshit. But in the same token, like you said, we don't know what's going to happen 10, 15, 20 years from now. I can tell you artists that have not made it
Talk to them
10, 15, 20 years ago because their music was shit or trash. Some of their content wasn't even that. It just, they weren't that good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it didn't transcend until now. So I mean, I understand what he's saying, but like you said too about a lot of the women artists, we'll see.
We gonna see.
Getting it. She's still touring, and I don't know if she's touring, but she's making appearances here and there. But I mean, I don't know. That's not my angle. I don't really care to go listen to a whole lot of that shit anyway. Like I said, I've probably heard one Lil' Kim album. I've heard one Foxy Brown album.
I was a Foxy fan, so I know her catalog a little bit better.
Appreciate you being honest, bro.
I thought the second album wasn't that, but the third album, Broken Silence, I was into it.
I've probably rocked two, the one you mentioned and the first one.
But La Bella Mafia.
At the same time, with all this being said, I don't know if as much as I like Erick Sermon and as much as I want to believe the things that he's saying because they sound right and they align with what the things that I believe, I just don't really believe that it's just the reality. Because again, Chingy's still out here performing, probably. I'm sure Lil Flip's out here doing things.
I mean, he's from Houston. That's all he needs.
I'm sure Dem Franchise Boys are still doing stuff. Obviously, these artists that I am perfectly confident in saying that I made fun of when they were out and because they were trash.
South Star ain't out here getting it.
I don't know who they are.
Exactly.
So I mean, I know who they are, but I don't know who they are.
The for real hip hop Dalmatians.
Yeah.
Icons aren't really out here doing much.
Maybe they are in Miami or something though.
Good job
I don't know. But I guess what I'm saying is if you, who's to say?
I know.
Who's to say?
Look, they had
and even still. What's the solution?
There is no solution. There is no solution. There's no solution for people's taste and what stands the test of time for them.
I think Eric. I think he's taking Lone. I think he's honestly saying this from a percentages standpoint. I don't think he's saying
percentages. It ain't gonna what.
Here's what I mean when I say that. I think he's saying more than likely it's not going to translate. But there's a chance, like you talked about with the anomaly. I don't think he's saying the door is closed and it's just not going to work. I didn't take it that way.
The thing about this, so I understand both sides of it because we live in a time and space now where everybody's moral compass is going crazy.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So things are being accepted more. Things make more sense now. Things that you couldn't do 10 years ago are now perfectly normal. There's things that you could do 10 years ago now are shunned upon. So it depends on where everybody's moral compass is for the time and the era and how, I don't know, we evolve as a people and decide what's going to make it or not. I don't know. I mean, but
because today's listener is not the listener when they first came out. To your point,
Absolutely not,
So-
because EPMD didn't even make that kind of music to where it would be questionable.
True.
But in the same token, you saying they can go out and get a bag.
they can.
They ain't about to pack an arena
Nope.
unless they're with a gang of other people from their era. They're not going to do it on their own.
No, they're not.
That's fair.
Look, all I know is somebody met their wife and their first dance that they first danced to was back that ass up. And
Yeah.
so that is going to mark
Hey man,
time
you
for
can't
them.
prove that. I'm just
So
you're probably right, low
I'm
key.
just saying the same way like somebody might have said at that time, be like, it's not like when, you know, I danced with my wife the first time to My Girl. I was like, yeah, because that's what was out. My Girl was out. And when Back That Ass Up was out, it marks time the same way as My Girl does to somebody else in another generation.
Evolution versus. But either way,
Call it what you want. I
Yeah,
mean,
shout out to.
Yeah, call it what you want. If they
Sermon.
still married.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
it can go both
I
ways.
feel it. I
but
feel him though, but there's some gray area there. I feel him.
there's absolutely some things that are
There's some
not
gray
going
area.
to make it. I'll say that.
In a recent post on Twitter, Waka Flocka Flame shared a tweet about his meet and greet being canceled due to his support of the fascist USA president, to be Donald Trump. And he says this: imagine living in a country that was built on free speech to ultimately find out free speech is only given to those who don't go against the system. A lot of people need to wake up. Y'all being used for a bigger agenda. Free speech is free speech. My decision for who I vote for is my decision. Y'all talking about freedoms. One of my meet and greets events in DC was canceled today because of some people's opinions, because they harassed a liquor store until they canceled the stuff. Then they spin it like I did something wrong for having an opinion. That's freedom?
This is one of those things where, and we've discussed this before too,
We have
freedom of speech doesn't mean it doesn't come with consequence. I mean,
all the time.
it is. You can say exactly what you want to say, and people can react exactly how they want to act because that's part of the freedom too, right?
right.
Well,
How can that count?
freedom of speech is freedom against persecution from the government, not freedom of speech against my friends and the people that are across the street.
It doesn't
Yeah.
work.
So
that
far.
way.
Doesn't know what that is.
That's a bar.
And part of the situation with him too is he was speaking so much about this situation and pretty much co-signing President Trump, and he's never voted before.
That part.
So you
It's another
having
piece.
this huge, you know what I'm saying, hurrah for this man, and you've never done anything political, and all of a sudden you want to be that guy.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do something, if you're gonna be about it, be about it. But I mean, this is just one of them things that he effed around and found out that
You know,
it can affect your pockets.
What you think, Jay?
I'm pretty sure there's some place where you and Amber Rose and Le'Veon Bell, y'all could all get together and, you know, and you could get your money somewhere. But, you know, don't come around, you know, especially after you've seen what's happened in the last couple of days,
Yeah.
you know, where Trump is like, I want white reparations for white people whose feelings have been hurt.
Well, that's actually old.
Or is
Is that all?
Is
That's
it?
old. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But still, but
but-
still, I want my reparations.
Yeah. But,
Hope you get them, buddy.
Thanks. You too.
you know, I mean, I know it's not old. I've seen who's appointing to his cabinet. And
Steve Miller is like a Nazi.
yeah. And so you decide to come out in support of this, and understandably, there are going to be people who share your reflection who are not going to be excited to be around you, considering these are the people you endorse, and you have to you got to take that. Either that, or you need to explain yourself a little better than just saying this is my guy.
Are there any ramifications for for artists moving forward that may choose to go this route? Is it going to?
I hope.
When's the last time you heard anything from Chrisette Michelle?
That's where I'm going but my question is with this, because the world right now where it is and everybody's on 10 based off the election, can the ramifications for artists that come out like this, can it get worse? Can
What
it
do you
get
mean?
worse?
What do you mean get worse?
When I say worse, I mean backlash. We in cancel culture. He missed a bag here. I don't care what nobody say. He missed a bag here. He's trying to play it off like with the speech and all that. He missed a bag here. So I don't know what it's going to look like, because there might be some people that just come out and
I'm just
are
thinking,
pro the president,
I
and it
just
might
want-
be some different ramifications that come up that haven't been
Listen,
in the past.
I'm ready for this 4 years to get started. I'm past Kamala not winning.
Right.
At this point, I don't care.
Yep.
It is what it is. I just want to see what happens.
Yeah.
And if some people are going to backpedal, or I want them to prove people wrong. I want this situation to prove people wrong in the right way. Essentially, you know what I'm saying?
I follow it.
I'm cool on this being a situation where oh, now we got to backpedal our support because this ain't what we thought, when it is exactly what you seen up front. Like, even it's just, I hate to get off topic, but it is kind of on topic because we're talking about Trump and him winning the whole Project 2025 and how he's anointing people to his cabinet that are part of that Project 25 that he said he didn't know anything about.
Right.
So it's like there's a lot of lies that are about to be uncovered over this next 4 years or so. And I'm just wanting people to match that same energy that they had when they were so gung-ho about who they decided they want to be.
So you really are looking to see who's going to, quote unquote, stand in the paint on what they
because
said.
I'm not somebody that wants the country to fail. So I'm not about to sit up here and be like, well, I hope this is a shit show, because people don't understand we have to live in a country that other countries watch as well.
True.
So when we don't do good on the united front, that makes us weak, essentially. At the end of the day, you have to stand behind whoever they decide to choose and put in there. I don't have to G for everything that he says, but at the same time, I'll stay on American soil. So these are American policies. If I don't like it, then I can be like, well, I mean, I knew this was going to happen. So I'm hoping that I'm proved wrong along with a lot of other people. You know what I'm saying?
I respect it.
Well, I think that, just to play white devil's advocate, when
you like playing that a lot.
Yeah, so I got to do it. Sometimes when we talk about, Waka Flocka and the backlash and Chrisette Michele, the backlash you get from associating yourself with conservatives, who's to say there's not going to be a certain backlash for, I know it's the second segment in the row, but we're talking about like Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B, because, you have to understand these are people who have large corporate backings. And when you're talking about large corporate backings, you're talking about people, when you get higher to the top, there's a good chance that they're conservatives. And,
well, like, not necessarily.
What if
liberals are up there as
what
well.
if, and if these people have stood in being apolitical up until this election cycle, what if that starts to actually affect their pockets?
They were paid handsomely for those appearances.
I mean, yes, they were given, but we're talking about going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What if, some of those people who come to those festivals, I look at the makeup of the crowd a lot of times when you see these people twerking on stage with no shoes on, and it's not us.
Well,
and so
Taylor's still selling out.
Well, we saw that up close in person.
She's an outlier.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But, you just never know. For some of these other folks, we're acting like it's just going to affect people who are supporting Donald Trump. There are people who came out loud and proud for Kamala Harris who have been apolitical up to this point, and who's to say it's not going to affect their pockets as well?
Possibility.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, that's true. I have lots of thoughts. I'm just trying to think if this is the platform for those thoughts.
It usually is, bro. Most times.
Yeah, considering what we're talking about here, this kind of opened the door.
Yeah, if you want to let the clip go, this is a great time to go ahead and let that clip.
No, I mean, the freedom of speech thing is interesting. Is supporting a message in a quote unquote regime like Trump's, is that worthy of something to get upset over? I think that is that's a question that I would ponder or ask, I guess. I know my answer to that, right? Mm-hmm. But in this artist sphere of things, like, is that legitimate? Like, when we think about stuff in the sense of like commerce, mm-hmm. and we think of how everything moves, does it make sense? Like, if they're still are we going to see people that are super MAGA, super mm-hmm. conservative, be more brought in to these typically liberal-esque spaces in art and creativity and be normalized? Because that is the more dominant thing right now. If it's a Trump presidency, right? I still don't know if he necessarily, as far as like popular vote, I think it's still about 50-50, right? But white people have been edging their way into hip hop for quite a while. And, like you mentioned, you go to a hip hop show, it's mostly white people, white kids doing things. Jay mentioned that. It's like, what is the amount of acceptability for people with these beliefs within the culture, or just in general? That's the question that I would pose, because it's not really my space to say, mm-hmm. but I don't like any of them.
No, I feel that.
And there's many reasons behind this that I don't even know if I'm going to get into, but like, I don't like any of them. And I don't really want them around me. And so, but this isn't my space in that manner to kind of speak about it from a hip hop perspective, you know?
Nah, I feel it's funny that you say that because I went and picked up dinner from Texas Roadhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Truck comes through, blasting Tupac, All Eyes on Me. He has a F Biden sticker on the back of his truck.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like hip hop culture has evolved into American culture, so to speak, because these same cats that came up and were actually cool because they listened to hip hop. It was a point in time where you could actually point out who were cool and who were actual people that would ride with you based on just what they listened to.
Facts.
That's not the case anymore.
Nah, because there's no reason that anybody that listened to Tupac should have an F Joe Biden sticker.
Exactly.
Like it.
I mean, he's blasting it. So this is what he's about.
Yeah.
But he has an F Joe Biden sticker on the back of his truck. And I'm like, this is that weird America that we're about to be witnessing a whole lot. I mean, we're in the thick of it right now.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Hip hop is just, it turns into something that I can't identify you with now because everybody listens to it.
Right.
No.
So it's popular music. So like whatever somebody's listening to, I can't think that you have a certain political view just because you're listening to that music.
That is a very good point, bro.
Well, you know,
it used to be that.
Yeah.
It used to be exactly what you just described.
Like at
you
least
could
they had
tell
some
a
sort
lot.
of, like if they listen to if they listen to hip hop and watch Yo MTV raps, they'd be like, maybe some of it's just a beat for them, but maybe they have some understanding of what's going on.
I give you the prime example. When you're coming up and you're in high school, it's kind of like the Little Brother story when Fonte talked about gravitating to Ninth because of the Source magazine or whatever
College,
it was. When they were in college, right? It's the same way with that when you're younger. When you're in high school, like Lone and I gravitated towards each other because we were in music together, but we liked a lot of the same type of stuff. Mm-hmm. Musically, he put me onto some stuff, I put him onto some stuff. But we were kind of like Ninth Wonder always says, the Jedis. Like we kind of just linked together, right. And we were like, yeah, I like this guy. He can speak my language. It's the exact same thing that Terry's talking about. Great point.
Look, I'll just know it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago at the restaurant that I work at, a couple days a week, where these two guys, they'd been in before, had on the Make America Great hats. Like they're like sitting there, like they're deep into MAGA, watching some speech on their phones.
Yeah.
And I control pretty much the playlist.
Yeah.
At the couple businesses, and
I see you.
and,
boom, boom, boom. Donald Trump.
And Rolls Royce, I want to get next to you comes on.
Yeah, classic.
And giving the guy's bill, and he says, "Hey, is this Rolls Royce?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You never hear this out. I love this record." And I'm not thinking anybody who has on that Make America Great hat would go crazy, would be like this, because it was a nice room. It was like, because it does it by algorithm, even though I put it on random. It was like Rolls Royce, and then it had, of course, I had the Maze and Frankie Beverly.
Come on.
And so it hit that pocket. Yeah. And he was like, man, I'm telling you, man, this place plays the best music. I really appreciate coming in here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm trying to line up.
Yeah.
The fact that these guys couldn't have been more friendly, have engaged in, and then but when I look at that hat, I'm like, do you even want me to serve you your food?
Exactly.
I got a very good connection to that. So like, and then I think this is where we're heading down to in this direction, and I'm dealing with it personally, right? So there's something to be said about like you guys both said, or all said, we've all said, you used to be able to very easily, especially in Indiana, especially in where we're at. Everything's you could pretty much point out, and you look at somebody, you kind of know what you're going to expect for the most part. For the most part, every once in a while, somebody will surprise you. Hi, like
thank you for saying that. Yes,
but every once in a while, like you generally speaking, you kind of know. And we're into an interesting era. Like I'm gonna shift it a little bit, but it's kind of on this same point, right? There was a recent like John Oliver from the Daily Show or whatever show he's got. And
last week with John, I think that's the name.
But he was talking about the mass deportation thing, and there was an article about Indiana, or it was about Indiana. There was an Indiana businessman. He's been here for 20 years, apparently undocumented guy, started a business, and they had a panel of 6 people on, and all 6 people were like, man, they really like Roberto. They wanted Roberto to, they agree about amnesty and they think that he should be here. But 4 out of 6 of those people voted for Trump. And 4 out of 6 of those people don't realize that Trump's policies is saying, hey, we don't care if Roberto is a good person or not. We're for getting rid of Roberto.
Yes.
And it's like that type of thinking of where there's a lot of conservatives, some liberals, but a lot of conservatives and neocons and a lot of MAGA people too, that can look at somebody that has a specific demographic, like, oh, I'll use myself for example. They can be cool and like my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
She's Hispanic. She's from Ecuador. She speaks Spanish. She's an immigrant.
Yep.
They can like her, but then they can vote against her best interest at the same time. So you like this one person who's here, but you don't like who she is.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be seeing a lot more of this and the confusion around this. I have a very, very hard time with stuff like this. You guys know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I like to just insulate myself, and I like to tell people exactly how I feel. And I'm gathering my thoughts post-election because there's some stuff I have to deal with. But I think in regards to this conversation, I think that's kind of what that's kind of pointing at, is that we're starting to see, like, there's a lot of people that think that it's okay to like hip hop, but to not like where the black people or anything that's a part of what hip hop comes from, or anything apart, like.
And it doesn't.
I don't know how else to explain it right now.
Like JD Vance,
I love hip hop.
Says he loves the movie Boys in the Hood.
Yes.
Yes, that too, which was very random.
Yeah.
And but it's like, you like the thing, but you don't like the thing at the same time. You like the pieces of it. You like to point to it. You like to dance to it. You like to do these things.
This is the thing. And once again, this is
good point, Long.
Conversation. I'll pull a little bit from, shout to Bomani Jones. He said, but when you watch Boys in the Hood, Furious Styles probably didn't vote for Bill Clinton. If he did, he did it begrudgingly. Like a lot of his philosophy is informed, and a lot of the philosophy of that movie is informed by perhaps the Nation of Islam.
Facts.
Right.
And if you really get deep into what the Nation of Islam is about, it more lines up with certain tenets of conservatism
for sure
than liberalism.
For sure.
And so that's where sometimes the waters can get murky, because and then if you said that to somebody conservative, or you said that to somebody from the Nation of Islam, it might start a larger discourse.
For sure.
Sure. I mean, like I said,
that is true, because there's a lot of conservatism in hip hop in general. We've talked about this in the past as well, but maybe outside of conservatism in general, when it just comes to debate, I guess what I was trying to allude to was, like, when it comes down to just seeing people as human beings versus enjoying the things that the people are creating.
Right.
That's the brass tacks of it.
There's always been this discussion. I remember, for anyone who remembers Ebony Magazine, how America loves black culture but does not love black people.
Yeah, that's always,
it was like how they would let Sammy Davis Jr. perform in Vegas, but he couldn't stay at the hotel and he couldn't eat at the restaurants. But they cheer for him when he's on stage.
Oh, yeah.
But if he dipped his toe into the pool like Dorothy Dandridge did, they would drain the whole pool and sanitize it.
What's crazy? I'm old enough to know, or to have been around certain types of stories like this. Mm-hmm. Some of this stuff precedes us, even with our age. But at the same time, I'm old enough to have experienced hearing someone talk about they have friends at school, but they can't come over and spend the night. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, this is my guy at school. He's one of my best friends. I love him. We have a good time at school. And then when you go ask your mom and dad, can he come over and spend the night? They say, nah. I don't need to tell y'all why they said nah. You know what I'm saying?
It can be confusing, but at the same time, you look, I saw something today where the Google searches for Trump's plan went up after he got elected.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden people were interested in the policies after the election had already taken place.
Yeah.
Not only that, I saw a video that checked the search results for Google. Mm-hmm. People are Googling if they can change their vote.
Yeah.
That's a thing right now, which is crazy.
Like 200%
Yeah.
Or but the same thing happened when the EU enacted Brexit, and the next day it was like people typing into their search engine, "What's Brexit?"
Yeah.
And it was like, look, in Missouri, my home state, if you will, they voted to maintain a woman's right to choose, but they went for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like when it gets personal,
Yeah.
you're like, no, I don't want this. But overall, everybody else, whatever.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I mean, even it came down to a lot of people that immigrated to this country voted for Trump. Don't nobody hate immigrants more than immigrants that made it.
Man.
And it's disgusting when you think of it like that too, man, because it's almost like you're looking at people like you're better than them.
Yeah.
And you went to the exact same thing.
Well,
But you don't want them over here. Because you almost feel like they're taking from your Americanism, so to speak. I don't know.
There's a lot of interesting like tokenism. Like there's like from somebody who has been outside it like significantly in like Spanish speaking countries. Like there is this like kind of way that a lot of people look at the United States as if it's like some sort of solution to something. And even though it is better in a lot of ways in a lot of countries, in far as opportunity is concerned, I definitely see that aspect of like people want to come here. I do see that, but there's a lot of people that look at the United States as like, well, if I can make it there, then I'm going to be somebody,
promised land, yeah.
You know what I mean? But but at the same time, I don't even know if I'm super upset. This is the thing I was having a conversation with my wife earlier. Like, I don't know if I'm super more upset at the people or just the propaganda machine that is just misleading so many people. Because at the end of the day, I don't really think that a lot of these people that voted for Trump really would vote for Trump and conservative policy if they actually realized that the policy was trash and if they really knew what it meant. I really don't think so. But but they're grown-ups. So it's like at the same time.
They have the right to vote, and that's how they voted.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I don't know, man.
Are you a classic Christian or are you a Trump Christian?
Yeah.
Once again, I call those people special interest whites.
Hey.
And plus, like when you talk about how like nobody looks down on immigrants as much as people who immigrated here and have already made it, a lot of times, like there are people who there's this term I've kind of read up on. It's when people they're exceptional minorities or I can't remember. That's not it. But it's like, okay, they get here and it's almost like they're promised, we won't treat you like you're white, but we won't treat you like you're black.
It's the same thing to the poor whites in the Civil War and all that stuff. It's the same idea of the Southern strategy of,
right.
You may still be poor, but at least you're not black. And so you're at least going to have that above so vote with us. Vote with us, the wealthy class of wealthy whites. Even though you're poor, and that's really kind of
that's all. Look,
we won't look at you like we look at them.
I told someone, and this is many years ago. You know, when you look at the how the taxes are set up in this country, and when people say they vote based on economic anxiety, look, you're not even you're white in name only. You're not even white on paper until you make about $400,000 a year.
For sure.
And so
everybody's voting against their interests.
You know, and so like when people say certain things, I was like, well, you know, I saw a text exchange with somebody who was like, I voted for Trump because of taxes and the economy. It's like, you work at, Texas Roadhouse.
$30,000 a year.
And it's not to diss anybody who works at Texas Roadhouse, but a lot of times when people say these things, it's like in America, and because of the way America is set up and how quickly we make unexceptional people rich, like the Hawk Tuah girl is a 6-figure earner now, like, a lot of people feel like they are potential lottery winners. And so their mindset is that when they talk about economics, even though like you make $45,000 a year, you got 2 kids, and it's like there's nothing that would help you by voting Republican. But the idea that maybe one day you'll be rich. I'm going to vote.
Now I'm on the fries.
I'm going to vote for the potential of me being rich as opposed to my reality right now.
The potential. Everybody thinks they're a soon-to-be millionaire. Would you say if I just do a couple things, I'm going to be a millionaire?
Would you say, Terry, I'm on fries?
Now I'm on the lettuce. Soon I'll be on the fries front line. I mean, it's just so much ignorance going on. And I actually found myself arguing with a couple people. I don't know why I did this.
Why did you fall for it?
I don't know, because sometimes it just drives me up the wall when I see certain
really grinds
things.
your gears.
I'm just going to close it off by saying the mass deportation thing is very scary, and it is Hitlerian. And if you really do the research, there's like a one-of-one comparison of what he wants to do, and also the same stuff that that Donald Trump is trying to do and what Hitler really did. Killing everybody was not the number one solution. It was deporting everybody until they realized that they couldn't because it didn't make any sense because it was too expensive.
Yes.
And that's exactly what's going to happen if they try to embark on that as well.
I've seen that conversation too where he's talking about, well, you know how many billions of dollars it's going to cost to do that?
If they want to deport just 1 million.
Yeah.
On average, $996 billion a year.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's not feasible.
No.
And so when you think about the pipeline and everything that has to happen, it gets kind of dangerous out here because you're talking about dragnets and you're talking about concentration camps and you're talking about prison systems. Like, it's not anything to play with. And it's not cool.
So no Waka Flocka. You don't get your meet and greet at a liquor store.
No.
You don't?
No, man.
That's a good place. That's a good place to end it.
Go sit down somewhere.
NewOldHeads.com for all the education you need this year. Remember, if you see us, like us, hit the bell for notifications and also give us a 5-star rating on any options that you have for that. Also, check out our Patreon and our options there. We have a lot of great exclusive content for you. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Yeah.